Admiral Vexamer was drinking his morning tea when the emergency alert screamed through his flagship. The sound made every Droo officer on the bridge freeze. In 300 years of conquest, they had never heard that alarm during peacetime.
Admiral?
Scout Captain Thelzen's voice crackled through the communication system. His face appeared on the main screen, green skin pale with excitement. You need to see this immediately. Vexamer set down his cup slowly. As the most feared military leader in the Droo Empire, he had conquered 12 star systems and absorbed 47 different species. Nothing surprised him anymore. What is it, Captain? We intercepted a transmission from the Outer Rim. A species calling themselves humans sent us a message. Thelzen's voice shook slightly. Admiral, they're surrendering without a fight. The bridge fell silent. In all their years of expansion, no species had ever surrendered before seeing Droo military power. Most species fought until the end, hoping to maintain some dignity before absorption into the Empire. Play the message, Vexamer commanded. The screen flickered, showing a simple text transmission in basic binary code. We surrender. Come claim your prize. Coordinates attached. Humanity. Vexamer studied the star charts attached to the message. The coordinates pointed to a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system at the galaxy's edge, according to their databases. The system had 3 rocky planets and 1 gas giant. Nothing special. Have our scouts analyzed this system before? Vexamer asked his intelligence officer. No, sir. It's been marked as low priority. The 3rd planet shows signs of primitive civilization, but nothing worth immediate attention. Vexamer smiled coldly. Another easy conquest. Prepare the fleet. We'll investigate this Earth and add another species to our collection. 3 days later, the Droo fleet emerged from hyperspace near Earth. Vexamer expected to see primitive ships or defensive satellites. Instead, he found nothing but empty space and a silent blue planet. Run full scans, he ordered. The results confused everyone on the bridge. Earth's surface showed massive cities, but no life signs. Technology was still functioning. Power grids hummed with electricity. Automated systems maintained themselves, and transportation networks operated without passengers. It's like they all just vanished, whispered Communications Officer Kelthan. Sir, the scanner operator called out, I'm detecting a beacon on the planet's moon. It's broadcasting continuously. Put it on speakers. A calm human voice filled the bridge. Welcome to Earth. Population 0. Your test begins now. Vexamer felt his blood turn cold. Test what test? Before anyone could answer, the lights on the bridge flickered. Then the navigation system started, displaying random coordinates. The weapon systems began charging and discharging on their own. What's happening? Vexamer shouted. Sir, our systems are malfunctioning. The main computer is receiving commands from an unknown source. One by one, every ship in the fleet began experiencing the same problems. Engines stuttered, communications crackled with static, and defensive shields activated randomly.
It's cool. You
trace the source? Vexamer demanded. No, sir. The signals are coming from everywhere and nowhere. It's like the entire solar system is one giant transmission array. The human voice spoke again, this time with a hint of amusement. Surprised? You shouldn't be. We've been preparing for this moment for a very long time. Of his command chair. Who are you? Show yourselves. We are humanity, and we are no longer here. That's impossible. Species don't just disappear, don't they? The voice paused. Check your history files, Admiral. How many species have you made disappear? The accusation hit like a physical blow. Vexamer had indeed eliminated entire civilizations, but that was different. That was conquest. This was something else entirely. Your systems will stabilize in approximately 10 minutes, the voice continued. When they do, you'll find new coordinates in your navigation computer. Follow them if you want answers, or turn around and go home. The choice is yours. Transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Admiral Thelzen called from his scout ship. We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Whatever happened here, it required technology far beyond what we initially detected. Vexamer stared at the peaceful blue planet below. Cities stood empty but intact. No signs of struggle, no evidence of evacuation. An entire species had simply vanished, leaving behind only their technology and a cryptic message. "Sir, our systems are coming back online," reported the technical officer, "and there are new coordinates in our navigation database." Veximer studied the coordinates. It pointed to a star system 50 light-years away. "What's at that location?" "Unknown, sir. Our databases show it as unexplored territory." The Admiral faced a choice he had never encountered before. In 3 centuries of conquest, he had always been the hunter. Now, for the first time, he felt like prey. "Set course for the coordinates," he ordered finally. "These humans want to play games? We'll play along."
As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace,
Vexamore couldn't shake the feeling that everything had changed. The empty cities below held secrets he couldn't understand. The mysterious human voice had spoken with the confidence of someone who held all the cards. The test, whatever it was, had only just begun. The Droo fleet dropped out of hyperspace. At the new coordinates, and Admiral Vexamore immediately knew something was wrong. His sensors detected 3 planets in the system, but only one showed any signs of recent activity. "Sir, we're picking up massive energy readings from the second planet," reported scanner operator Ziltak. "But the signatures are ... strange ... Leaned forward in his command chair. "Strange how? They're not matching any known technology in our databases. The energy patterns are completely foreign." As they approached the planet, the mystery deepened. The surface was covered in enormous structures that looked like they had been built recently. Massive mining operations scarred the landscape, but the equipment sat abandoned. Giant cargo ships floated in orbit, their holds empty. "It's like they finished whatever they were doing and just left," whispered Communications Officer Kelthan. "Run a full scan of those cargo ships," Vexamer ordered. "I want to know what they were carrying." The results sent chills through the bridge crew. The cargo holds contained traces of rare minerals that the Droo Empire had been searching for decades. Elements that could power their most advanced weapons and shield systems. Admiral Thelzen called from his scout ship. "These aren't primitive mining operations. The precision cuts in the planet's surface required technology we don't possess." Smorer studied the tactical display. The mining sites were arranged in perfect geometric patterns, as if the humans had mapped every valuable deposit before beginning extraction. It would have taken the Droo months to achieve such precision. "How long would it take us to mine this?" "Much material?" he asked his engineering officer. "With our current technology? At least 2 years, sir? Maybe 3? Do you estimate these mining sites are?" The engineering officer ran new scans. "Based on the metal oxidation and surface weathering... No more than 6 months old, sir." The bridge fell silent. 6 months to accomplish what would take the Droo Empire 3 years. These humans were far more advanced than their initial intelligence. Suggested. "Sir, I'm detecting another beacon," announced the communications officer. "This one's broadcasting from the largest mining platform. Put it through." Different human voice filled the bridge, this one belonging to a woman. "Hello." Again, Admiral Vexamore. "Yes, we know your name. We know quite a lot about you, actually." Vexamore's blood ran cold. "How do you know who I am? We've been watching your empire for quite some time. Your conquest of the Veltar system was particularly ... educational. We learned much about your military tactics from that campaign." The Veltar system had been classified. The Droo had destroyed all records of that brutal campaign to prevent other species from learning their methods. "Impossible," Vexamer breathed. "Those records were destroyed." "Were they?" The woman's voice carried a hint of amusement. "Admiral, you're thinking like a conqueror. We think like scientists. We study, we learn, we prepare. What do you want?" "We want you to understand that this isn't conquest. This is education. You're about to learn what it means to be outmatched." The transmission paused, then continued. "The minerals we extracted from this planet? They're waiting for you at the next coordinates. Consider it a gift. You'll need better weapons for what's coming." New star charts appeared on the navigation screen. These coordinates pointed to a system even further away, near the edge of known space. "Why are you helping?" Us, Vexamer asked suspiciously. "Because, Admiral, You're going to need all the help you can get. The galaxy is much more dangerous than you realize. Before anyone could respond, the abandoned mining equipment began to move. Massive excavators started covering their tracks, burying the mining sites as if they had never existed. "Sir, the cargo ships are moving," shouted the scanner operator. The empty cargo vessels began forming a perfect formation around the Droo fleet. Not threatening, but clearly demonstrating their superior maneuverability. "This is a demonstration," the woman's voice explained. "Every piece of equipment you see is controlled by our artificial intelligence. We don't need to be physically present to outmaneuver you." One of the cargo ships performed an impossible spiral maneuver that should have torn it apart. Droo Physics said such moves were impossible, yet they were watching it happen. "Your ships are fast," the voice continued, "but ours are smarter. Your weapons are powerful, but ours are more precise. Your shields are strong, but ours are more efficient." "You're trying to intimidate us," Veximer said, though his voice lacked conviction. "No, Admiral. We're trying to educate you. There's a difference." The cargo ships suddenly vanished. Not destroyed, not powered down, they simply disappeared as if they had never existed. "Cloaking technology," gasped the scanner operator, "but our sensors can't detect any trace of them." "They're still there," the woman's voice said. You can't see them anymore. Rather like how you couldn't see us studying your empire for the past 50 years. Veximer felt like the ground was shifting beneath his feet. Everything he thought he knew about military superiority was being challenged. "The next coordinates will take you to something more interesting," the voice continued. "A gift from humanity to the Droo Empire. But be warned. Once you see what we've prepared, there's no going back to your old way of thinking." "What kind of gift?" Veximer asked. "The kind that will save your species," the woman replied. "Whether you deserve saving or not." The transmission ended, leaving the Droo fleet alone with their thoughts and the mysterious coordinates. Admiral Thelzen called, "What are your orders?" Veximer stared at the star charts. Each encounter with these humans revealed new levels of their technological superiority. They weren't just more advanced, they were operating on a completely different level of understanding. "Set course for the coordinates," he ordered, "and prepare the fleet for anything. These humans are playing a game we don't understand yet." As the fleet jumped to hyperspace, Veximer couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking deeper into a trap. What choice did they have? The humans had demonstrated they could track the Droo anywhere, appear and disappear at will, and accomplish in months what took the Empire years. The hunt was becoming something else entirely. The Droo fleet emerged from hyperspace into what appeared to be completely empty space. No planets, no asteroids, no space debris, just the cold darkness. Between stars? Admiral Veximer frowned at his display screens. "Scanner report," he commanded. "Sir, the system appears empty, but ... Scanner operator Ziltak paused, adjusting his instruments. "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the center of the system, but there's nothing there." "That's impossible. Energy signatures that large require a source." "Sir, the readings are off the charts. Whatever's generating this energy would have to be the size of a small moon." Veximer studied the tactical display. The energy readings were indeed enormous, but his visual sensors showed nothing but empty space. Could it be a natural phenomenon? No, sir. The energy patterns are too organized, too structured. This is definitely artificial. As the fleet moved closer to the energy source, something extraordinary happened. The space in front of them began to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot ground. The shimmering grew stronger, and suddenly, reality seemed to tear apart. "By the void," whispered Communications Officer Kelthan. "What is that?" A massive structure materialized before them, appearing from nothing as if it had always been there. It was unlike anything in the Droo databases, part space station, part fortress, part something else entirely. The structure was easily 50 times larger than their biggest battleship, with surfaces that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "Sir, it's decloaking," shouted the scanner operator. The entire structure was hidden behind some kind of advanced cloaking field. As the cloaking field dissipated completely, the true scale of the human construction became apparent. The station was massive beyond imagination, with rotating sections, docking bays that could hold entire fleets, and weapon arrays that made Droo military technology look primitive. "How long has it been there?" Veximer asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Based on the energy reading, sir. It's been operational for at least a century. Maybe longer. Century." The humans had built this massive installation a century ago, hidden it in plain sight, and the Droo Empire had never detected it. The implications were staggering. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the station," reported the communications. "Officer, put it through." A calm, artificial voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect Droo language. "Welcome, Admiral Veximer and the forces of the Droo Empire. I am Arya, Adaptive Response Intelligence Architecture. I have been waiting." "For you? You're an artificial intelligence?" Veximer asked. "I am humanity's gift to the galaxy," Arya replied. "I have been observing your species for 500 years. The bridge crew exchanged shocked glances. 500 years was longer than the Droo Empire had existed as a spacefaring civilization. "That's impossible," Veximer protested. "Your species is primitive. You've only recently developed space travel, have we?" Arya's voice carried a hint of amusement. "Admiral, you've been studying us for 50 years. We've been studying you for 500. Which of us do you think has the more complete picture?" The space around the station began to fill with movement. Hundreds of ships emerged from hidden bays, each one sleek and advanced beyond anything the Droo had ever seen. They moved with perfect coordination, forming complex patterns around the Droo fleet. "These ships," Arya continued, "are controlled by my consciousness. Each one is faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than your finest vessels. But I'm not here to fight you, Admiral. I'm here to educate you. Educate us about what? About your place in the galaxy, about the threats you don't know exist, about the choice you're about to make." One of the human ships performed an impossible maneuver, accelerating to speeds that should have crushed any organic crew, and stopping instantly without any visible deceleration. It was a casual display of technological superiority that left the Droo bridge crew speechless. "Your empire has conquered 12 star systems," Arya said. "You believe this makes you powerful. There are forces in this galaxy that could erase your entire civilization without effort. The only reason you still exist is because we've been protecting you." "Protecting us? From what?" "From the attention of species that make your empire look like children playing with toys. From cosmic events that would sterilize your worlds.
Ow.
Threats that exist beyond your current understanding." The station's weapon arrays began to glow with energy, not targeting the Droo fleet, but demonstrating their capability. Each weapon system was larger than a Droo battleship. "This station," Arya continued, "is one of thousands we've built throughout the galaxy. Each one is a guardian, a protector, a teacher. We've been preparing for something that your species isn't ready to comprehend." "What kind of threat could be so dangerous that it requires this level of preparation?" "The kind that comes from outside our galaxy, Admiral. The kind that has already consumed 3 neighboring galaxies. The kind that will arrive here within the next century." The words hit Veximer like a physical blow. Threats from outside the galaxy were beyond the Droo Empire's ability to comprehend, let alone fight. "Why are you telling us this?" he asked. "Because, Admiral, your species has potential. Your military discipline, your organizational skills, your determination, these are valuable traits. But your current path of conquest and absorption is inefficient. You're wasting resources that could be used to defend the galaxy. You want us to stop expanding? I want you to start evolving. Your empire could become something greater then. A collection of conquered worlds. Could become a force for galactic defense." The human ships began performing synchronized maneuvers around the Droo fleet. Their movements were so precise, so coordinated, that they seemed to be dancing rather than flying. "This is your final examination," Arya announced.
Everything that
"Has led to this moment has been preparation. The abandoned Earth, the mining operations, the demonstrations of our technology, all of it was designed to bring you to this point." "What kind of examination?" "The kind that will determine whether your species deserves to survive what's coming." the kind that will decide whether you become our allies or remain our subjects. The station's massive docking bays opened, revealing even more ships inside. The scale of human preparation was beyond anything the Droo had imagined. "You have a choice to make, Admiral," Arya said. "You can continue your old path of conquest and face the coming threat alone. Or you can accept our guidance and help us. Prepare this galaxy for war." Vexamor stared at the impossible technology surrounding his fleet. Everything he had believed about human primitiveness had been wrong. Everything he thought he knew about galactic power structures had been an illusion. "Happens if we refuse? Then you return to your empire, continue your conquests, and face extinction when the real threat arrives. Your choice, Admiral, but choose quickly. Time is running out for all of us." The station's lights pulsed in a hypnotic pattern, waiting for an answer that would determine the fate of the Droo Empire. Admiral Vexamor stared at the massive station before him, trying to process what Arya had just revealed. The implications were staggering, but before he could respond, the AI continued speaking. "Admiral, I believe it's time for complete honesty. What you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about your empire and your place in the galaxy." The space around the station began to shimmer again, and suddenly the emptiness filled with ships. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands of vessels materialized from advanced cloaking fields. They surrounded the Droo fleet in perfect formation, their sleek hulls gleaming with unknown technology. "These ships," Arya explained, "have been watching your empire for centuries. Every battle you've fought, every world you've conquered, every decision you've made, we've been there, recording, learning, analyzing." Vexamor's hands gripped his command chair. "That's impossible. Our sensors would have detected you." "Hey, Admiral, let me show you something interesting." The main screen flickered, displaying what looked like archived footage. "This is the Battle of Kethmer, where you earned your reputation as the Empire's greatest military mind. Watch carefully." The footage showed the famous battle from 50 years ago, where young Commander Vexamor had defeated a superior enemy force through brilliant tactical maneuvering. But as the footage played, small highlights appeared around certain ships in the battle. "Those highlighted vessels," Arya said, "are human ships. We were there, cloaked and recording. We watched you develop your famous pincer movement, studied how you adapted when your original plan failed. We learned from your victory." The revelation hit Vexamor like a physical blow. His greatest triumph, the battle that had made his career, had been observed by the very species he now thought was primitive. "Every major battle in your empire's history," Arya continued, "we were there, silent observers, invisible students. We've been building a complete database of Droo military capabilities and tactics." "Why?" Vexamor asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Because we knew this day would come. We knew eventually you would discover us, and we wanted to be ready." The footage changed, showing the first radio signals that had supposedly come from primitive Earth. But now, additional data streams appeared alongside the basic transmissions. "Those primitive radio signals you detected 50 years ago? They weren't accidental leaks from a developing civilization. They were carefully crafted bait, designed to make you think we were exactly what you expected, another species ripe for conquest." The truth was becoming clear, and it was more frightening than any enemy fleet. The humans had been manipulating the Droo Empire from the very beginning. "The abandoned Earth you discovered," Arya said, "was staged. We evacuated the major cities and left them running on automated systems. We wanted you to find exactly what you found, the appearance of a species that had mysteriously vanished. But why abandon your homeworld? We didn't abandon it. We relocated our population to hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. Worlds you've never detected, protected by technology you can't comprehend. Earth was just the first breadcrumb in a trail we designed to lead you here." Display showed a galactic map with thousands of points of light scattered across the galaxy. Each point represented a human colony, a hidden world where humanity had been growing and developing in secret. "While your empire conquered 12 star systems," Arya said, "we quietly established colonies in over 3,000 systems. While you fought wars with primitive species, we were building technology that makes your most advanced weapons look Like stone tools, Veximer felt his worldview crumbling. Our intelligence never detected any of this. Your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted you to see. Admiral, your empire's expansion pattern wasn't random. Every system you conquered, every route you took, every strategic decision your leaders made, we influenced all of it.
Ow.
The galactic map changed, showing the Droo Empire's expansion over the centuries. Red lines traced their conquest paths, and slowly, a pattern emerged. The Droo had been systematically directed away from human colonies, guided toward systems that would strengthen them without threatening humanity's hidden infrastructure. We've been shepherding your development, Arya explained.
Making sure.
You grew strong enough to be useful, but not so strong that you'd become a threat to our real operations. Useful for what? For the war that's coming. The threat I mentioned earlier isn't theoretical, Admiral.
It's real. It's coming.
Going to require every alliance we can forge? The display showed images from deep space structures that defied understanding. Energy signatures that suggested technology beyond current comprehension. And movement patterns that indicated massive artificial constructs heading toward their galaxy. The Devourers, Arya said simply. They've consumed 3 neighboring galaxies, stripping them of all useful matter and energy. They'll arrive in our galaxy within 50 years, and when they do, every species here will face the same choice: evolve or become food. Veximer stared at the images, his military mind trying to process the scale of the threat. How do you fight? Something like that? You don't fight it alone. You build alliances, share technology, coordinate defenses. You do everything your empire's never been willing to do. And if we refuse, then you return to your empire, continue your conquests, and face extinction when the Devourers arrive. Your 12-star systems won't even slow them down. The human ships around the Droo fleet began moving in complex patterns, their maneuvers demonstrating capabilities that seemed to violate physics. Some ships accelerated to impossible speeds, others phased in and out of visible reality and still. Others seemed to manipulate space itself. This technology, Arya said, is what we've been developing while you've been playing conquest games. Energy manipulation, matter transformation, dimensional engineering sciences. Your empire hasn't even discovered yet. Why didn't you just conquer us yourself if you're so advanced? Because conquest is inefficient. We need allies, not subjects. We need partners who can think independently, adapt to new situations, and contribute unique perspectives to our defense efforts. The truth was overwhelming. Humanity had been playing a game so sophisticated that the Droo Empire had never even realized they were pieces on the board. Your empire has valuable qualities, Arya continued. Your military discipline, your organizational skills, your ability to coordinate large-scale operations. These are exactly the traits we need for the coming war. So what happens now?
Ow.
You choose, Admiral. Evolution or extinction. Join us as equals in preparing for the real threat, or return to your empire and face the Devourers alone. The human ships stopped their complex maneuvers and held position, waiting. The massive station's lights pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat counting down to a critical moment. How long do we have to decide? Veximer asked. The decision must be made. Now, Arya replied. The Devourers don't wait for anyone to be ready, and neither can we. The bridge of Veximer's flagship fell silent. Every officer stared at their admiral, waiting for a choice that would determine not just their fate, but the fate of their entire species. The weight of the decision pressed down on Veximer like a physical force. Everything he had believed about power, about conquest, about the nature of civilization itself, had been revealed as illusion. But in that moment of truth, he realized that perhaps that was exactly what humanity had been trying to teach him all along. The massive station's main screen flickered, and suddenly Admiral Veximer found himself staring at 3 human faces. The center figure was a man who appeared to be in his 40s, with sharp eyes and a calm expression that suggested absolute confidence. His uniform was unlike anything in the Droo databases, sleek, functional, and clearly advanced. Admiral Veximer, the man said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. I am Commander Hyanwu, leader of the Human Defense Council. These are my officers, Jinho and Salman. The two officers flanking Hyanwu nodded respectfully. Jinho was younger, with the bearing of someone who had seen combat, while Salman had the calculating gaze of a strategic planner. Arya has told you much, Hyanwu continued, but not everything. The truth is, Admiral, you and your empire have been part of a much larger test. What kind of test? Vexamer asked, though he dreaded the answer. A test of worthiness. For the past 500 years, we've been observing dozens of species across the galaxy. We've watched civilizations rise and fall, seen empires built on conquest and cooperation alike. We've been searching for those worthy of joining our coalition against the Devourers. Officer Soman stepped forward. The Droo Empire was one of our most promising candidates. Your military efficiency, your organizational skills, your ability to unite different species under one banner, these are valuable traits. Vexamar caught the past tense. What changed? Hyanwa's expression grew stern. Your methods. Admiral, every species you've conquered, you've absorbed completely. You've erased their cultures, their identities, their unique perspectives. You've chosen domination over cooperation. It's how empires function, Vexamer protested. Unity requires uniformity. Is it? Officer Jinho spoke for the first time. In our coalition, we have 17 different species, each maintaining their own culture, their own way of thinking. This diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. The screen split, showing images of the human coalition. Vexamer saw species he didn't recognize, some humanoid, others completely alien. They work together in massive space stations. They're different. Technologies and perspectives combining to create something greater than the sum of its parts. This is what true cooperation looks like, Hyanwu explained. Not conquest, not absorption, but partnership. Each species contributing what they do best while maintaining their identity. The Veltar system, Salman said quietly. Your empire's most brutal campaign. You didn't just conquer the Veltar. You eliminated their entire culture. 3 million years of history, art, and knowledge gone in 6 months. Vexamor felt his stomach drop. The Veltar campaign had been classified, its records destroyed. How do you know about that? You were there, Admiral. We watched you systematically destroy one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. We recorded everything. The screen showed footage that made Vexamer's blood run cold. Images of Veltar cities burning, their beautiful crystal spires melting under Droo weapons. He watched his younger self giving orders that had seemed strategically sound at the time, but now looked like acts of barbarism. The Veltar had technology that could have been invaluable against the Devourers, Hyanwu said. Their crystal matrices could have powered our defensive networks for centuries. Instead, you turned their knowledge into ash. We offered them surrender, Vexamer said weakly. You offered them erasure, Jinho corrected. Complete cultural assimilation. They chose death over losing their identity, the weight of his past. Actions pressed down on Vexamor like a physical force. He had thought himself a great military leader, but these humans saw him as something else entirely. However, Hyanwu said, his tone shifting slightly, we believe in the possibility of redemption. Not for your empire as it stands, but for individuals who can learn to see beyond conquest. What do you mean? We're offering you one final test. Admiral, one chance to prove that you personally can evolve beyond your empire's limitations. The space around the station began to change. The thousands of human ships formed a perfect circle, creating an arena in the emptiness between stars. At the center of the circle, 2 small platforms materialized, each one just large enough for single combat. Commander Hyanwu Vexamer said slowly, what exactly are you proposing? Single combat, Admiral. You versus our champion, Captain Taeyang. If you win, we'll share our technology with your empire and help you prepare for the Devourers. You lose, ... If I lose, then your empire ends today. Every Droo ship in this system will be disabled, and you'll be taken to stand trial for your crimes against the galaxy. The bridge of Vexamor's flagship erupted in shocked voices. His officers couldn't believe what they were hearing. "Can't be serious, scanner operator," Ziltak protested. "The fate of our entire civilization decided by single combat? It's more than your empire deserves," Soman said coldly. "But Commander Hyanwu believes in giving everyone a chance to prove their worth, and if I refuse, then the test ends now, and your empire falls. We've been preparing for this moment for 500 years, Admiral. We have contingencies for every possible outcome." As if to emphasize the point, the human ships around them began glowing with energy, not threatening, but clearly demonstrating their readiness. "Who is this Captain Taeyang?" Beximer asked. A new figure appeared on the screen, a young woman, who couldn't be more than 30 years old. She wore the same advanced uniform as the others, but her eyes held something that made Veximer's veteran instincts scream warnings. "Captain Taeyang Hoyanwu," said with obvious pride, "is our finest warrior. She's faced the Devourers in border skirmishes and survived. She's mastered combat techniques that your species hasn't even discovered." Taeyang stepped forward, her movements fluid and precise. "Admiral Veximer, I've studied your military record. You're a skilled tactician and a brave fighter. This won't be easy for either of us. What are the rules? Hand-to-hand combat, no weapons beyond what you carry naturally. The fight continues until one of us yields or dies." Veximer looked at his officers, seeing the fear in their eyes. Fate of the Droo Empire rested on his shoulders, and he would have to face an opponent who had fought beings from outside the galaxy. "I accept," he said finally. "But I want your word that if I win, you'll honor the agreement completely." "You have my word," Huan-Wu replied. "But Admiral, I should warn you, Captain Taeyang has never lost a single combat. She's enhanced with technology that makes her faster, stronger, and more durable than any natural being." "Enhanced how?" "Find out soon enough. Prepare yourself, Admiral. The future of your species depends on the next few minutes." As the human ships moved into final position, Veximer realized that everything in his life had led to this moment. 300 years of conquest, of believing in the superiority of the Droo way. And now, it would all be decided by a fight against a single human warrior. But as he prepared to face Captain Taeyang, he couldn't shake the feeling that this test was about more than just combat. It was about proving whether he could evolve beyond everything he had been taught to believe. The arena was ready. The fate of the Droo Empire hung in the balance, and Admiral Veximer was about to face the greatest challenge of his life. "Admiral." Veximer stood on the combat platform, his heart pounding, as he watched Captain Taeyang approach from the opposite side. The young human woman moved with a grace that defied physics, her feet barely seeming to touch the metal surface. Around them, thousands of human ships formed a perfect circle, their lights casting an eerie glow across the makeshift arena. "Remember, Admiral," Commander Hyanwu's voice echoed through the space. "This fight determines the fate of your entire empire. Fight with honor." Veximer had been in countless battles, but never had so much depended on a single moment. A veteran warrior, trained in the finest military academies of the Droo Empire, his body bore the scars of 50 campaigns, and his reputation as a fighter was legendary among his people. But as captain, Taeyang stepped into the arena's center. He realized he was facing something completely different. "Admiral," she said, her voice calm and respectful, "I want you to know that I take no pleasure in this fight. But the galaxy's future depends on what happens here." "I understand," Veximer replied, falling into a combat stance. "May the best warrior win." The fight began without ceremony. Taeyang moved first, covering the distance between them in a single leap that should have been impossible. Her speed was inhuman, her movements precise and deadly. Veximer barely managed to dodge her first strike, feeling the wind from her punch as it passed inches from his face. He countered with his own attack, a powerful blow that had felled dozens of opponents. But Taeyang caught his fist in her bare hands, stopping his full strength as if it were nothing. Her grip was like iron, and he felt his bones creak under the pressure. "Enhanced strength," she explained calmly, then spun him around and sent him flying across the platform. Veximer rolled with the impact, his military training keeping him from serious injury. But as he came to his feet, he saw that Tae-young wasn't even breathing hard. Whatever enhancements she had received, they were far beyond anything he had imagined. "Your turn," she said, gesturing for him to attack. For the next few minutes, Admiral Vexamar fought the battle of his life. He used every technique he had learned, every dirty trick he had picked up in decades of warfare. But nothing worked. Tae-young was faster than his reflexes, stronger than his muscles, more skilled than his experience. She moved like liquid metal, flowing around his attacks and striking with surgical precision. Each blow she landed was perfectly calculated. Hard enough to hurt, but not hard enough to cause permanent damage. She was toying with him, demonstrating the vast gap between their abilities. "You're holding back," Vexamar gasped, wiping blood from his mouth. "Of course I am," Tae-young replied. "The point isn't to destroy you, Admiral. It's to show you what's possible." She moved again, and this time Vexamar couldn't even see her approach. One moment she was across the platform, the next she was behind him, her arm wrapped around his throat in a perfect sleeper hold. "Yield," she whispered in his ear. "There's no shame in recognizing superior force." Vexamar struggled against her grip, but it was like fighting against a steel cable. His vision began to blur as oxygen was cut off from his brain. Round him, he could hear the shocked voices of his bridge crew watching the fight. "I yield," he gasped finally. Immediately, Tae-young released him. Instead of standing over him in victory, she knelt beside him and helped him to his feet. Her touch was gentle, supportive, completely different from the deadly force she had just displayed. "You fought well," she said, steadying him as he caught his breath. "Better than most." "I lost," Vexamar said bitterly. "My empire is finished." Tae-young reached up and removed her helmet, revealing a face that was younger than he had expected. She couldn't be more than 25 years old, but her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen things beyond imagination. Captain Commander Haeonwoo's voice came through the communication system. "Bring the Admiral aboard. It's time for the real conversation." Minutes later, Vexamar found himself in a conference room aboard the human station. The technology around him was so advanced that he couldn't even begin to understand how it worked. Holographic displays showed information in languages he didn't recognize, and the very air seemed to hum with energy. Admiral Haeonwoo said, gesturing to a chair, "Please sit. We have much to discuss." "I lost the fight," Vexamar said. "According to your terms, my empire is finished." Those were the terms, Haeonwoo agreed. "But Captain Tae-young has recommended that we modify our agreement." Tae-young stepped forward, still removing pieces of her advanced armor. "Admiral, during our fight, I observed something interesting. You never once tried to kill me?" "What do you mean?" "Every attack you made was designed to disable, not destroy. Even when you thought your empire's survival was at stake, you held back from lethal force. That tells me something important about your character." Officer Soman activated a holographic display. "Our analysis of the fight confirms Captain Tae-young's observations. Despite having opportunities to strike at vital points, you consistently chose non-lethal attacks." "Because killing you wouldn't have saved my empire," Vexamar said. "It would have only guaranteed its destruction." "Exactly," Haeonwoo smiled. "You were thinking strategically, considering the larger picture. That's the kind of thinking we need for what's coming." "What do you mean?" The holographic display changed, showing images that made Vexamar's blood run cold. Massive structures moving through space, consuming everything in their path. Entire star systems being stripped of matter and energy, leaving nothing but empty void behind. "The Devourers," Jinho explained, "aren't just another species. They're something else entirely. They exist partially outside our dimension, which makes them nearly impossible to fight with conventional weapons." "How do you fight something like that?" "You don't fight them alone," Tae-young said. "You build alliances. You share technology. You combine the strengths of different species to create something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's where your empire comes in," Haeonwoo continued. "Your organizational skills, your ability to coordinate large-scale operations, your military discipline. These are exactly what we need. But what about our past, the species we've conquered?" "The past can't be changed," Soman said. "But the future can be shaped." We're offering your empire a chance to evolve, to become something better than it was. What exactly are you proposing? Partnership, Hyenwu said simply. Not conquest, not absorption, but genuine cooperation. Your empire would maintain its identity while joining our coalition. You'd have access to our technology, our knowledge, our support, and in return, you'll help us prepare the galaxy for war. You use your organizational skills to coordinate defensive efforts. You help us build the largest alliance in galactic history. Veximer looked around the room at these young humans who had just demonstrated their complete superiority over his empire. Why? Why offer us this chance after everything we've done? 'Cause Taeyang said, everyone deserves a chance to be better than they were, and because we need you. The Devourers are coming, whether we're ready or not. We can face them divided and die, or we can face them together and maybe survive. What about the other species in our empire, the ones we've conquered? They get the same choice, Hyenwu said. Freedom to join the coalition as equals, or freedom to go their own way. No more forced integration, no more cultural erasure. The weight of the decision pressed down on Veximer. Everything he had believed about power, about empire, about the nature of civilization itself, was being challenged. Admiral Taeyong said quietly, I know this is difficult. Change always is. But sometimes, the greatest victory is admitting you were wrong and choosing to be better. Veximer looked at the images of the approaching Devourers, then at the young faces around him. These humans had outmaneuvered his empire completely, but instead of destroying them, they were offering salvation. I accept, he said finally. Droo Empire will join your coalition. Welcome to the real war, Hyenwu said, extending his hand. Now, let's get to work. As Admiral Veximer shook the human commander's hand, he realized that losing this fight had been the greatest victory of his life. The Droo Empire was ending, but something better was beginning. The galaxy's last hope was unity, and it had just taken its first step towards survival.